Greetings. Let me tell y'all. Well, give honor to the ancestors known and unknown. Gratitude to spirit, source, creator all, Woo! Let me tell y'all. It takes a lot of courage to do these videos, man. It takes a lot of energy, the uses of energy to share these messages with everyone. That being said, I just love you all. I appreciate you. Know that you are valuable in these moments. Know that you are loved. You are seen. I see you. I see you. Man, let me tell you. In certain moments when one doesn't feel to do these things, I have to ask for the guidance, for the strength and the courage to deliver these messages, to even speak 5 or 6, 7 minutes, and just to relay the message. In itself, learning to honor the infinite possibilities, the love, the limitless within myself. And that's a part of honoring and loving myself as a man, as a being, as everything that I am. And that in itself is loving and seeing my inner child, which I realize has been calling out to me all these moments that I've been living up to this moment. We share this with you, so you can know what it is to be sovereign, meaning to be free. It is your birthright to just live your life, live one's life in, that, in harmony and peace and bliss, that you find peace within. I send love to you all in these moments that to go within and, to honor what it is that you're feeling and how you're feeling, and realizing that we are healing ourselves, and when we learn to love ourselves. I have some notes here that I want to share, and it's very vital, even in this moment, those that are upon your journey or coming into this awareness consciously. It's like, which is so amazing, again, how we are given these codes per se, or given this knowledge, which has always been there. And now we're seeing the awareness of how we're using that to bring healing to ourselves, which is bigger than just ourselves, but bringing healing to humanity in these moments. That being said, I want to continue, and I want to speak about how, in this video, speak about how we're in this, astrology, we're in a Venus retrograde, and in the process of this, we are reevaluating all of our relationships, most importantly with ourselves, because it starts with us first. Everything starts with us. Everything starts and begins and ends with us, meaning self, source, creator. So that being said, if you look at your whole, if we're self-reflecting, and that's a part of reevaluating, restructuring everything, what it is that we value in our commitments. Meaning that when we're reassessing and reflecting on ourselves and looking at our personal growth up to this moment, as whomever we see ourselves as, being that from your childhood. Like, think about your childhood and look how much you have. Look at your personal growth and so much you have to be grateful for. Just as much as there, we have experienced, traumatically. Um, we also now are consciously aware of how we want to move forward. And see, that came through our personal growth upon our experiences, uh, learning more about self. And so during this retrograde, it's shining light on that, um, how much we have matured with ourself, with our, again, personal growth, and then seeing that, um, how is that reciprocated in relationships. So, let's see here. So that's the purpose of even how our past is our future, but our past in a way is somewhat like of illusion, but it has its purpose. It has serves its purpose to now to where we are seeing where we are upon our journey to appreciate, give gratitude to the growth, to the simplest things, things that again could have destroyed us, or learning what it is to value our mental awareness now, our spiritual awareness, and our whether it be becoming more aware consciously how we eat, consciously how we speak to ourselves. Are we speaking to ourselves in a kind way? How we are no longer releasing things that no longer serves us, certain relationships that, again, seeing how things are reciprocated. What how in these connections and from the past we learned a love language, and as we're venturing through this journey in life, that love language is um, mirrored back to us through other people. And see, we're learning not only ourselves, but we're learning other people through these, whatever love language they have um, received, or how am I projecting my love language onto you via how you're, how is that being reciprocated? And so through these moments, we have to realize that a lot of us, which I'm going to share now, is so important, is that what we've learned subconsciously through relationships with parents, and relationships with where worldly things, like how we're going out into the world, we're learning these things, um, things that have been subconsciously in the darkness have been, the roots represents like the subconscious. And so then we are doing this process from childhood to adulthood. um, the inner child is still crying out. The inner child, the essence of who we truly are, is still crying out to be acknowledged. So it's like, as much as we've learned things, and what we've learned has been not only programmed, but yeah, it's been programmed, but also this is a part of how we cannot escape what we've had experienced or taken on, being when we were a child up to this moment. So in that, these are again karmic cycles that we have learned as a child with relationships. And again, these were not conscious relationships. And that being said, is me being where I am now, I am grateful and appreciative and not ashamed of what has happened in the past, because now it has brought me to this conscious awareness of why these things had to happen. Had I not acknowledged what has happened, in order for me to heal what has happened to me, internalized, and what has been internalized over, through from childhood to now. So that being said, just give yourself a pat on the back, because I notated this, and I know this is truly going to help a lot of people. You know, again, we got 2 parents, then you got 4 grandparents, 16 grandparents. See, you know, 2 per 2. So that's 3 generations. So we're going to go all the way until, you know, let's say the 9th generation, which is approximately 2,048 generational ancestors. You go to the 12th generations, which is 4,094 ancestors, which is approximately like over 400-year span. Now, I say that because look at how much, as a people and humanity, that what our ancestors have endured, like whether it be struggling, you know, they're just the spiritual warfare they've endured, like their battles with life, the sadness, dreams, or you know, the dreams they want to fulfill, or certain accomplishments that they wanted to fulfill for their children, and things that they want to accomplish while they were here, or set out to accomplish, that were unfulfilled. Um, you know, have we ever questioned what, not only what our parents, but then going back to those ancestors, like what did they have to endure to this present moment? You know, what type of traumas, being that it was rape, you know, any type of hatred, separation of family, you know, just labor, you know, even in the matriarchal, which is the grandmothers, great grandmothers, you know, daughters to the fathers, great grandfathers, the patriarchal. And, you know, do we ever ponder on like the fact of how we are our ancestors? How, what, all those things to this present moment, they, it amazes me like how they, our ancestors, how, the thing about what spirituality is that this is the war that's raging, is it has nothing to do with someone is externally. That's what the focus has been, and internalizing things is what has been shunned, which has everything to do with the spiritual aspect of who we are, and what we are facing. And being that when we do face these things and learn to heal and embrace these aspects of who we are, those wounds, we then learn to know that those wounds, and where those, you know, those unhealed wounds, or, you know, those, that trauma that has been um, embedded in our DNA, are actually where our gifts, or where our, in that darkness, is where we find the light. It's where we find the light within ourselves. It's where we find the light that some of our ancestors didn't get an opportunity to see, or to witness, or to live that dream of being what it is they wanted to be, being whatever, you know, being that whatever was connected to their childhood. You know, so that being said, you are the mother or father or being that is here to change that. That's why it's so important for us to learn our generation and ancestral knowledge of how and why we are who we are, and why it is our people struggle or have these conflict of interest as a humanity, or as a people. So that being said, this is why we're seeing a dismantling of how things have been impacted in the homes, in the places where it's like the things have been, which is the divine feminine. Things have been affected us in the unseen, meaning that which has happened in the home, with children, things that are not portrayed on television, things that are not portrayed to where, you know, the natural eye can see. You see, this is what spirituality teaches us. It's to where what has encoded in our DNA, we are learning to embrace that and not run from that darkness, and no longer run from it, because it's a part of who we are. So during this process of learning what one is here to do, you go through an identity crisis. And let me be the first to say, if you haven't heard it, to all that are going through this, when you're going through a soul ascension, or you're going through these ever-changing moments, there is no identity. And see, this is what the world is currently experiencing, is that when we don't have knowledge of self or knowledge of our roots, which has to do with the divine feminine aspect as to the divine masculine, that which is in the darkness that cannot be hidden is where humanity is being forced and faced to acknowledge. Meaning the things that have been brushed up under the rug, as far as like what has happened to a people's history, or what has happened, not only what we've been told, but what has happened to what really has happened in these moments up to now. And then we're learning that within ourselves as well, being how we are seeing how we're, as men and women, we are connected to the divine feminine and masculine within ourselves, which is honoring those unhealed wounds that has been passed on through generations. So learning that knowledge is also seeing how we haven't experienced what we're coming into, embracing the unknown, the newness of a conscious relationship. See, when we speak of that, is that if we realizing what subconsciously has happened in the darkness, being what has happened through childhood, then the unconscious behavior patterns or things that we have unconsciously been doing, we now become spiritually, consciously aware. Okay? So this is what the awakening or the gathering or what the ascension of earth, or, you know, the light barriers, or people that are honoring the fact of this is what you're here to do. Again, subconscious is a representation of the darkness. And see, we have unconsciously being putting out this energy or doing things in a way unconsciously that now we are consciously responsible of, as a whole, as humanity, as everyone. And see, this is what the fear, if you keep people, or the fear is to push people to divide and do certain things, how can we consciously change anything? And see, this is why some of us are selected or elected to do these things, not the illusions of these leaders or you know, certain people that, again, that you have seen, or, you know, most of your life. Not these presidents, not, you know, not this pope, not anybody. Because again, these people, again, are not teaching, or, you know, the divine is, again, these people are put in place, as is family, friends, or whomever, are put in place for you to come to this awareness consciously within yourself that you are who you're looking for. No one's coming to save you. Because everything, none of these people or leaders are teaching you what it is to love yourself, to love your wounds, to heal thyself, to know thyself. A lot of which has been seek certain things externally. But you that do know, again, you're having visions, you're giving this foresight, you're giving these gifts, you're giving these codes that are given to you, not to certain people, for you to live out that purpose. Ancestors are speaking to you. Spirit guides are speaking to you. Because you're wondering why this has been such a spiritual warfare, and why this has happened to you, and why these people are, a sense of betrayal and all these things have happened. Because that's a part of what has happened in a past life, or what has happened in the past, or that is connected some way generationally or through the DNA for you to activate that which has happened in the darkness, that unseen, is to activate something within you, so now you can bring more of a conscious awareness. That's why subconsciously what has been programmed into you and your family lineage and what you're here to do, it was for you to to see those unconscious patterns, or behavior patterns in your family and your lineage. So you can be so you can bring a conscious awareness to love yourself, to pour into yourself, to heal yourself, to recreate an ancestral lineage or template for your family to come, to create a new empire, a new kingdom, or a new world for you, those that you are going to attract. So that being said, we're healing, we're releasing so much of a dark and heavy karmic cycle, or I would like to say, cycles and or patterns and or programming, whatever, meaning that whatever in the past up to now, to heal that, to reprogram your ancestral lineage. Get what I'm saying? Yes. It's amazing. And so this is why, that being said, like, for instance, I give you examples like learning the process of what love, what has been portrayed as love, meaning that settling and enduring pain and dark secrets, basically creating trauma bonding. There's connections that were trauma bonding. You're realizing subconsciously it was trauma bonding. All these things, and then seeing how it's unconsciously been going through generations. And even through certain generations, certain people they became aware. And then again, some people were taken out because, again, they wanted to bring something new. They wanted to change something. And then you had, again, this spiritual warfare, people that were envious and jealous, and certain things that didn't work, certain things wasn't supposed to be changed. And that's because people were driven off, these, dark entities or certain spirits or certain things, because they wanted the ancestral lineage to stay in that loop, to stay in that same cycle of enduring, this trauma bonding, or, one's own self as attachments. And so you are the one in your family dynamic. You had to see your family template, to change what it is, why your ancestors are rising up within you, why you're giving messages in your dream state, why you are seeing, what has happened. And it's not going to make sense to no one but you until you attract those, again, that are consciously aware of what it is to ascend, to become aware of certain patterns or behavior patterns that has been passed down. So you begin to awaken to these things. You begin to become aware of seeing these things and why this is connected to you, and why you are the one that your ancestors are nudging and speaking to you, to be a healer, to be a Reiki master, to be a medium, to be, you seeing why you're connected to, shamans, why you're connected to Wiccas or witches, or, things that you're becoming more aware of, why you are connected, because that which you are here to change, that ancestral DNA structure to come into alignment. And part of that healing is that you bring more imagination. You illuminate things. You become more aware to use your gifts to bring healing. To use your gifts to create a more of a loving, space, or, to attract love. Again, all those things up to now, this is why we are, relearning, and we had to reparent ourselves. This is what's happening. See, the divine feminine and divine masculine is that of the divine feminine is the divine mother aspect, the matriarchal. The divine masculine is the father. See, if I'm a man and I'm the guiding light, so I'm showing you, or, a masculine, I'm the light to show you. Again, you have to see how the past, how the relationship dynamic of how families, look how the system has divided the family structure, or even if you go deeper into the tribes, to where, you have people put in place, the chiefs or the midwives or the sisters, and people living amongst each other in peace and harmony, sharing, giving. Then you go back to where, Atlantis or certain places, civilizations, ancient civilizations, where everything lived in harmony, everything lived in peace. So this is what, again, how much of people haven't been living in peace, or at peace with themselves, or, in alignment, or wanting so badly to live in that harmony from which they came into this world. And see, a part of that is our earthly experience, is to bring that to earth. Those that know you are here to bring that, a part of that ascension. That's why it's not just about us. It's not just about me or you. So, be light on yourself. Be kind to yourself. We're reparenting ourselves as mothers and fathers. It has nothing to just do with titles. We are reparenting the inner father, the inner mother within ourselves. This is why our mothers, women, their bodies are changing. You're realizing how out of alignment or unaligned that you were, you weren't, being that, again, certain foods or certain things that you've been using for your body has chemicals in it, to keep your body, whether it be, what do you call it? Birth control, or all of these things chemically that attack the body. This is why you see a lot of people returning to nature, or honoring, certain things, herbal things, or, wanting to, their soul is calling them to be a midwife, or learning what it is to honor the flow of life, because nature teaches us that. Our ancestors knew what that were, to honor the divine feminine and masculine, that which you see as a tree. The roots representing the divine feminine, yes, the darkness. And then the masculine, the light aspect, which you see blooms, represents, the blossoming of things. The masculine is both intertwined, the light and the dark. There could be no tree without its roots. And see, this is, again, we're healing generational lineages. We're healing, we're unlearning, but also relearning what it is to bring forth something anew. So it's unfamiliar. At the same time, what's familiar is what we know as to be, that trauma bonding, that darkness, or things that, again, we're questioning why we have to do this. See, through all of this, we're aligning our chakras, we're aligning with the universe, we're aligning with ourselves. And so that being said, we're seeing the purpose of how, when all these things we're relearning and learning how it is to reparent ourselves and love again, and to be open to that love, because we got to know what it is to love ourselves first, to be open to that love, for that to be reciprocated. So it's like we're gathering up pieces of ourselves, of our ancestors. We're gathering up things that has been scattered through humanity, or scattered through history, and just everywhere. And we're realizing that we've always been whole, but even learning these pieces of who we are, these structures of who we are, nothing, you cannot tarnish or touch what is divine. We've always been love. This is why the origins of who people are has always been compassion, has always been nurturing ourselves, has always been embracing the flow of life. That's what nature is. And so the world has been in this loop, or or humanity has been lifted of this spell that it has been under, because it's been in a dark place. And see, some are emerging from that dark place, or becoming the butterflies out of the cocoon. Some people will stay in that dark place, but that's divine order. So we are healing. When we healing ourselves, we're healing humanity, because humanity is a whole. We make up humanity. When we start to learn, our ancestors came from different shades, different cultures. Our ancestors are all around the world. Some people had to get shipped here, endure what they had to endure. Then we start to learn some of our ancestors here had played a part in what we call enslavement. Then you start to learn more deeper history, how this country played a part in a lot of this. A lot of the greed. And it goes so much deeper. But then now, some of the ones that are, again, subconscious, this has been programmed. Then unconsciously, this has been happening through humanity. Now we're consciously aware. What are you going to do with the knowledge? How are you going to apply the wisdom? How are you going to share this with the youth? And so this is what a part of the thing, what's happening in the stars, is happening now. And so, again, this is the identity crisis. And that being said, is that just know that your journey and what you experience is not in vain. And, this is why you can be feeling lost or confused, or a state of like instability, because this has to do with the process of healing what has happened. And let me tell you, going through your journey in soul ascension, there is no identity, because you're unlearning, relearning, processing things, so these things can become overwhelming. It can become overbearing. It can lead some people to even wanting to harm themselves. It can lead some people to not even want to connect with certain people, because that's the process of the spiritual warfare. Because one is in the dark, but do people make it out? No. But I'm here to let you know, do not give up. You can do this. You can do this. We've gotten this far. And so just know that you'll come to that realization that this awareness will teach you that you have infinite possibilities. And at that same moment, where we have infinite possibilities, we're learning that it's in a void of like nothingness in a way. Like, what are we here to obtain? We're given this in these moments to share, to use, what to share. We're learning, we're coming out of that place of no longer being used, but realizing that we are aware of to how we use. See, humanity has been showing people their focus has been how to use people to get what you want. See, that's external. There's no value in that. See, once you know the value is within yourself, you no longer, coming from that wounded place of like, I got to use this person to get what I want. No, you already have everything within you. You are whole. You are enough. You are loved. The Creator sees you as being perfect. See, the world has shown you that you are imperfect. But truly inside, again, this world has taught people what it is to not accept who they are. But it's not wrong or right, or it's not even for me to see myself perfect in the eyes of the, Creator. And see, that's the process of what I have learned or what I have taken on. Because even this life or even these things that I'm given here is not even mine. It's not for mine to keep. There's nothing for me here to take with me. I always share with people I know. I'm like, I'm just passing through, as are you. But what is your legacy? My legacy is going to live on because I know I'm authentic. So I'm perfect in the eyes of the Creator, of Source. Because I know what it is I'm here to do. See, that's a part of the process of learning what it is to let go what no longer serves you and come into that knowingness of who you are. The Aquarian age, the age of information. The golden age. See, certain things can be offered to you for a certain price or for, but all these things will wither away. But your soul cannot be bought. To my men, to my sisters, you are loved, you are enough. You can come out of the darkness. You can. You already have. Just don't let anyone else tell you differently. And so now we're seeing how we value not only ourselves, but in what have we invested our energy into to come into this awareness now, this growth within ourselves. That we know no one can stray us from. No one could, these things I've allowed to distract me, and now I have to turn away from it for that growth. Because I know I want to live a certain life, and I deserve that. As to not only me, but those that I attract, whether, the kids that Spirit has gifted me with, or, those that I will come into contact with, the knowledge that I have been given. That's the divine responsibility. We're given these things in these moments, and some things are meant to be told and not sold. See, that's the illusion. Man has taught you that you can sell your dreams, or you're authentically you. People can copy whatever, but you can never duplicate you can never duplicate a soul. You can never duplicate what Source has given you. No one or nothing. That's why things are falling apart or being destroyed. That's why the light is shining, is being illuminated on all. But I'm going to tell you this, no one can duplicate or copy. They can try. Anything out here they can try. They can no longer where people will be manipulated by. No. They can try. But no one can duplicate what your ancestors have given you. what your spirit guides have been protecting you from. No one can duplicate or copy authenticity or what your soul, deep down in your soul. No one who cares about being liked or loved when that's the inside. That's inside. You can't copy, and that's what this is showing us. You can't duplicate love. You cannot copy love. I love it. So just know that your inner child, your inner essence is calling out to you. Calling out to you to rise in these moments, to speak your truth, to share it. Man. Oh man. Let me speak about, oh yeah, I have this on here too. I was speaking about the chakra. See, the root chakra is connected to survival. You know, and see, this is what a lot of which we are healing from. And the sacral chakra, sexuality, you know, solar plexus is wisdom, heart is love, throat is communication. We call it the spiritual eye because, you know, it's spiritual. Some call it third, but I'm like, it's your first eye, spiritual eye. And that's awareness. Then you have your crown chakra. And so that being said, we have to self-reflect on how, if we're the base of anything, the root chakra, we're unlearning and relearning things. This is the purpose of where the root chakra comes in, and also the sacral chakra. All are important, but the root is the base of everything, meaning that, you know, the foundation, meaning the structure, the foundation of how anything is created or built upon. And see, that has to do with, even Spirit is saying, what connected to money, the structure, how, you know, the foundation of our relationships. And see, this is what consciously we're becoming aware of. So these divine unions and these divine things that we speak about is that which we are aligning and attracting conscious relationships where we can speak about things as such. When we're speaking about the root chakra, the foundation, we're talking about roots. So we're talking about the things that, again, at the base, being that how one has misused or overly asserted things, or overly used, or, you know, things that are connected to the root chakra. And see, we're healing that aspect, being that it's the womb, which represents, where it's connected to the root and sacral chakra, which is sexuality. We're seeing that being displayed. See, a lot of which we had to experience in the darkness is bringing more awareness consciously now to what we need to heal and can no longer be hidden. Being like sexual trauma, again, sexual harassment, or certain things that have happened sexually is connected to the root chakra, the base, the womb. That's what you're seeing. People are, you know, the mothers are, you know, the divine feminine, or people are being removed, or certain things being exposed to go into that hibernating or solitude to heal certain parts of our being, to align the chakras. So when we heal, you know, unhealed wounds and things we're seeing rooted, again, the root of everything, the trauma is in the womb. And then also how, even with men, how we're seeing the, you know, how things are portrayed on social media, like the what's that word I'm looking for? How the wounded feminine. When we look at the wounded feminine or the divine feminine, we have to realize, again, this is an energy being displayed in both men and women. And it's not per se a gender, it's how has the world, is it at? Like learning through this phase of life, when we're experiencing how we're being forced to sit with our emotions, the memories of what has happened, you know, being what has happened in the darkness, things being unveiled. And so being that connected to the root chakra, the base of the spine, how trauma has been passed through the womb, the vaginal, and then again how the sacral chakra, which is sexuality, sexual energy, creative forces, the creative force. And this is why you're seeing through the ascension symptoms, we can be experiencing certain pains or certain things in the body because that's a part of the healing. And so we have to see over time how we have been overexerting ourselves in relationships, how trauma has kept, people in a loop, not completing a cycle. That's what healing is, but have kept people in a loop of people pleasing, overextending ourselves in relationships, careers, just everything centered around the disconnect from the divine feminine. So this is why I would share like how you see a over masculated woman, always saying, "Oh, I can do this, and I da 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 da." Basically speaking how she can just be so independent, but in a way, it's not to say all women, but you can see how the aggression or the disconnect from surrendering to the divine feminine and allowing, oneself to embrace how life comes. Same thing with men, the overextending ourselves. This has happened with both. Mainly, you see how it's displayed, how the disconnect with the divine feminine with women is how you see it being portrayed as the overextending. And see, this has happened again with myself. I learned how I was overextending myself with the people pleasing, with overworking myself, trying to do things, and it's like this unfulfilling, external, things that's driven off of, unhealed wounds. This is why you're seeing in adulthood or people coming to their awareness how that, again, when they're faced to see these things and sit with themselves and honor their emotions, now they see the importance of rest, of, not wanting all these things externally, but honoring the divine feminine within self. So it allows one to realize that how emotionally unavailable they could have been, how healing their womb or honoring their own being with themselves, learning what it is to be with self, honoring, and that comes with seclusion. That comes with being in solitude and honoring the fact of how much they have been disconnected from source or self, which is divine feminine and masculine. And see, this is what we're learning through these connections. So now we're birthing a new meaning. We're birthing a new world of what it is to. You're going to see a lot of women focus on like the nurturing aspect of themselves, the well-being, not really focus on relationships with people in a sense, or the focus more of being intimate in that sense of how it's being portrayed sexually, but more on an intimate level of connecting, through conversations, intellectually, being more aware of how one uses their energy. Same with men, them being with self, learning self, is seeing how disconnected family, friends, or certain people are from themselves, which is connected to source. And so, again, I say all this to say that these moments we're birthing a new way of living, of being, a foundation upon honoring both masculine and feminine energies. And see, for this to happen, we have to realize subconsciously what has been programmed, and that's through generations. That's through what we've been told in history, um, and not our story. See what I'm saying? Then we become aware of the unconscious patterns. Then when we're consciously aware, then that allows us to attract what we know that is holistic or truly loving and genuine connections and longevity or long lasting or not last. I don't like to say that last. Ain't nothing like, but just truly divine or you know, yeah. And through this process, again, Spirit wants me to say this too. Even to the mothers or whomever, even if you was in marriages or whatever has happened to you, um, it happened. All these things you had to become aware of now. Get what I'm saying? So this is why there, when we are reevaluating, going through this process, doing this, the shift. Now we're able to be more aware of who we want to be in the presence of, who we want to be around our kids, what we want to do moving forward, being more patient. See, that's honoring the divine feminine is, being patient, being kind, nurturing, focus on our well-being mentally, spiritually, physically. And also that assertiveness, that action has to do with the masculine. And so again, this is all how it's all connected universally. So yeah. Whoo! So, oh man. The thing is, look, we don't have to be hard on ourselves because we have to realize that you've had the strength and the courage to get through this and to get to this moment. So take a deep breath. Take it easy. What's that saying? Like, slow and steady runs the race. That's the thing about the tortoise. The tortoise, the actually, yeah, the turtle is a representation of the divine feminine. Honoring, that patience with life. That's a whole nother subject, but that's the divine mother, the great mother, or these. It's very interesting. The wisdom, slow and steady, being patient with ourselves. Everything's gonna be all right. Trust, surrender. Our women now, again, the divine feminine, as to with the men. Again, these are energies. We both have these energies. That's what the ancients speak about. But we are learning to surrender, like to the flow. That's why the waters are important. We're learning to surrender to the flow of life. And a part of that surrenderance is a learning to honor our emotions. See, these are the things that have been hidden. Again, we have been going through this whole, we had to go through this whole scheme of things, and which has been a part of the divine order to come to this awareness of how this has been divinely orchestrated. Yeah. And how connected we truly are within, rather than seeing why certain things are being displayed right now. How certain fear or certain things are being pushed for division, but truthfully, the world is needing your light. The world needs you. You are needed in these moments because you are God and light, just as am I. I don't care to. I'm not looking to. I am who I am, so it's not about saying what people, what anyone is willing to accept. Again, one's reflection of however they feel about me is a reflection of themselves, which has nothing to do with me. So this overall is teaching our mothers, especially, to honor the divine feminine as well as the masculine within themselves. So you're being called to rest, you're being called to walk away from that job, relationships, or whatever it is divinely orchestrated. As to with men, you're being called um, to be with yourself. Solitude is for divine protection. A lot of things we question, but really it's all for the divine will of humanity. So, yes, because we really need our women to be more honorable of their femininity. As to our men, these things have happened so we could be more honorable of our divine masculine. You know, that warrior aspect, as much as knowing when to take action and healing those masculine wounds and feminine wounds. And that has a lot to do with, again, how the world, how one thing about me is like I had to realize that how certain things were a distraction, and then how the world or certain things can be focused on what's the word, devaluing, uh, just trying to tarnish one's character. And see, notice how the Americas of certain things have been in place to realize how weak and, weak, not vulnerable, because vulnerability is a superpower, but how weak if you portray or anything of people or, to be, this is how all of them are, that's a sign of weakness. And see, when we honor the power and the divine within us, there's nothing weak about us. There's a saying that iron sharpens iron. We realize that we've always been strong, or we've always been magical and divine. So that being said, we just had to become aware what has been happening. So when people try to come and speak on you and speak whatever ill intentions or say anything, you know that, again, you know thyself. You know who you are within. You know what you were given. You know that what spirit has been bestowed upon you. So nothing or no one externally can say, or this is what I've heard, and, he said, none of that matters. Because what's been given to you and what source have, poured or dropped into your spirit didn't come from he say, she say. So there is no such thing as I'm here to let you all know, no one can tarnish or do anything. That's the biggest illusion. Because once we start to become aware of who we are internally and what we come from, and then who we come here to be, we had to learn what the illusion of what the world has given us. Now we walk in that integrity, meaning who you are when no one sees you. And then now you're walking in that power and authority to know that there is nothing to fear. See, that's how control, the illusion of control, is portrayed, is that you make a people think that they're weak, and to need them in a sense of everything. But truthfully, your divine guidance, when you're guided by spirit, your inner guidance will always divinely protect you, and you will always be led where you are in a place of love and peace and harmony. This is why we are being led out of the ways of man. We are being led out of the ways of the wicked. And we are the powers that be now. The light is in command. And there's nothing that can stop that, because it's divinely orchestrated. And so know that whatever you're doing and what you're called to do is going to keep calling. It's going to keep knocking. And know that love is the greatest universal force. Genuine love truly doesn't have any selfish attachment. It lets go of everything. It allows one to be. And even in that being, you are still becoming. That's a part of allowing what you are here to do to unfold and having no fear of the unknown. Because even man doesn't know. Man, because that's why you see a lot of stuff that people are trying to manipulate, because they want to keep people from learning about themselves. The knowledge of your ancestors, the knowledge of who you are. But yet, even how this phase and all these things that are happening in our lives, nothing can be hidden. So it's a celebration. Celebrate how how far you come. Celebrate just because you're giving a moment to see the sun again, or you're giving a moment to love again. You're giving a moment to leave a part of your legacy here. And so, you know, what's that saying? When you people are gonna talk regardless, whether you're here, whether you're gone. So anytime you're doing something, people are gonna talk. And even that chatter ceases when you're just focused on yourself. Peace and blessings. I love you all. May light guide you and forgiveness open your heart and rest and do what you know that you are here to do. Alright? Okay? Alrighty then. Alright? Peace and love and light. Shalom. Go love on yourself. Oh, you so beautiful. You so beautiful. That's like my inner. You so beautiful. Go have fun. We came to have fun this lifetime. This is why we become aware of these things. Our experience this lifetime is to have fun. Is to experience the bliss and harmony of life. So whatever has happened in the past, no one can undo. Okay? No longer will we become a prisoner to the past. Because we are recreating, and setting the blueprint for the future in every moment. By speaking, by thoughts, by just simply being, by breathing. All right? Y'all take care, you hear?